Introduction. I can't believe what just happened to my uncle Edward Morris III. He's been fucking murdered. What in the actual fuck is going on? Really, I'd like to know. What did he ever do to deserve this? He's a quiet man that writes historical books. I've helped him with the last book he was working on here and there, but it's been over a year now since I've seen him. I'm heading to where he works and lives. That would be the Galactic Library. That old bastard was even living there. The council set him up with an apartment that was in the massive labyrinthian of the Galactic Library. They had it constructed for him and everything. Spared no expense. It was a very important task they set him to do. Well, as for me, I guess it all started with being asked by the Galactic Council to take over writing duties for Ed. He was my uncle, and I have been his assistant for many years. And he will be missed by me and, well, just me, I guess. Not sure if he got along with anyone anymore. He became kind of an eccentric in his old age. Most of his life, really, but that's beside the point. I am to take over his writing duties. He was working on a historical book that is deemed important and to the utmost top priority to the council. My name is David R. Lester, and I am now the main editor of his unfinished work. Edward wasn't very good at organising any kind of semblance for his various writings, and I was put in charge of editing it all together from the various sources that he has accumulated over 40 years of working on this book. As good as the book may seem, it is, however, very unorganised, because he didn't write out the chapters of this book in order, and sometimes he forgot to put page numbers on the pages, and they were scattered randomly throughout his library. He wrote all over the place in the narrative. He would write at whatever fancied him at any given moment. Besides his main body of work, which I have been tasked to finish, he also had binders, boxes, suitcases, desks, filing cabinets filled with stories, historical documents, notes on all kinds of a slew of topics like history, unknown flying objects, giants, vampires, alien races that are unknown to actually exist. Also, all kinds of stories, finished and unfinished, poems, nonsensical word vomit, personal journals, writing journals, travel journals documenting all of his travels throughout the galaxy. I found all kinds of things that he had in his home at the Galactic Library. There were secret paths and tunnels that led to underground archives of secret documents and various written materials about Zaltronian history and other kinds of paranormal research. I've also found a secret cache of mission statements from classified missions that he had been a part of. Declassified by this point, of course, or else I wouldn't be talking about it in this book. But apparently, he has been into some top-secret government shit. But that's another topic for another time. This book is called The Zaltron Legend, titled after the ancient lost novel series, and he has compiled it from as much data that could be found. It is the story of how we found the ancient race of beings called Zaltronians, that existed about 500,000 years before humankind. I'll be honest with you and frank about all this. I didn't want to help Eddie work on his crazy book at first. It seemed that it would never be finished. It has been 5 years since I've seen him. I needed to get out of this library and explore outer space on my own, do something different with my life. So, I got a spaceship to live my life on my terms for the first time. And by God, I found what I was looking for. Well, I mean, I didn't go and have crazy dangerous adventures or anything of that nature, but I really did find various works out there, wrote some books about exploring the galaxy. Then I found myself a place on the Earth International Space Station and revamped and upgraded my ship to be my home, but more on that later. Footnote 3. The ISS is Earth's main space station that is in high orbit around the planet. It's home to millions of people and grows and expands every year. Civilizations from all over the galaxy have taken up residence on this artificial planet. There are people that live their entire lives on the station. Everything you have ever needed is provided. There are even forested areas, gardens with weather. Everything. The story presented in this book is the most complete volume of a book series that chronicled the life of Jack C. Jones. Out of all 4,117 volumes of the Lost Book series, 27 have been found all over the galaxy. So as for writing this, there is so much that has not been found yet. It's an ongoing search that seems to never end. Plus, out of those found volumes, only the last 2 are the most complete. The others are fragmented due to thousands of years of decay and who knows what else. This volume had to be restructured and completed using other sources of records, and it was Edward Morris III that was hired to take on this monumental task. The notes are from Edward compiling it all together and his story about doing so. Also included are the different fragments of other volumes that have been found throughout all the searches. I have decided to put any given fragment in a place within the narrative that deemed appropriate, as opposed to having just an appendix collection at the back of the book. This way, it becomes more of a collective story of the long life of Mr. Jack C. Jones. Since Edward was unable to finish his work, I have taken over the project to finish the galaxy's first complete 2 last volumes of this important historical person, to shed light on what really happened when the Zaltronians were discovered over 10,000 years ago. Footnote 4. Data used. Data tapes, video diaries, journals, handwritten diaries, news archives, broadcast recordings, non-fiction novels, history books, newspaper archives, magazine archives, security footage and ship logs. Interviews of those involved and those who encountered them and or witnessed the events. Historians that have studied these events have been interviewed. I was on Earth International Space Station when I got the message that he'd been killed. Me and Jay were doing some swimming and eye-googling the ladies at the pool when the message came through my iPhone. It was my old friend Mid Lancaster. "Hey Dave, you sitting down? I got something important to tell you." His scarred face just popped up right in front of my view of the hot bikinis. Clicked answer, and he looked even worse than the contact picture I took of him 6 years ago. "Why, no, I'm swimming right now with Jay, having fun, relaxing actually. So, can this wait?" He moved closer to his phone, which must have been an old-style vid phone. He was a nostalgic kind of guy. "No, now. What is so damn important that I have to do this now, Mid?" David then noticed the serious look Mid had on his face, a worried look, something that you never see. Mid was a guy that lived day to day and had been through all the shit. All kinds of shit, you name it. He has PTSD for it. Thank God he's got that shit more or less under control. Thousands of years of therapy can help. It's about Edward, your mentor, something. Everything just sank into the pit of his stomach. What happened? Something bad. Oh no, what? What happened? He's dead. What does he mean, he's dead? Why would he be dead? His cells are constantly regenerating. Top life expansion procedure money can buy, so how can he be dead? How? Was all that he could voice out loud. He was murdered. That was a day that I'll never forget. I've worked with Edward for so many years, being his assistant and editor, his gopher, as they call it. A week later, I received a letter. This letter shocked me because it was supposedly from the murderer himself. "Hey there, Davy. How's it going, buddy? Hope you're doing just fine. I'm writing this letter to inform you that I'm very sorry for your loss. Eddie was a good man. Yup, he sure was. When I was, well, him last night, I felt kind of sad. I mean, think about it. Here I am, killing a great man. What am I doing with my life, right? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? I do believe I am, yes. He was, after all, writing about something he shouldn't be. I had to do something about it, I'm sure you understand. Well, I should go. See you around. P.S. Don't go and do anything stupid now, okay?" Footnote 5. See Jack Soberman's study on the Mystery Man of Jack Jones, published February 19th, 3680. That fucking letter sent me into a rage, to say the least. So, I do what I usually do when I'm depressed and angry. I go on a drinking binge and don't stop until I either die or get sent to the hospital. I would prefer the former, but we don't always get what we want. Granted, I only get like that during extreme cases, such as the one I was in at that time. After a few days of sobering up, I left the space station and decided to go to Edward's home at the Galactic Library. I had received a letter one day while flying through wild space from the headmaster of the Galactic Library Council. Message to David Lest from Headmaster James Herbert, Galactic Library Council. February 23rd, 410112. David, I'm sorry to hear about the tragic loss of your uncle, Edward Morris III. It's understandable that you're feeling a mix of shock and confusion over his unexpected murder, Edward was known for his quiet demeanour and his passion for writing historical books. You have assisted him in his work, but it has been quite some time since you last saw him. I have been informed that you are now on your way to the Galactic Library, where your uncle lived and worked. The council had provided him with an apartment within the vast labyrinthine structure of the library, recognizing the importance of his task. He was entrusted with a significant project, and the council spared no expense in ensuring his comfort and access to the library's extensive resources. As for yourself, we've asked you to take over the writing duties for your late uncle for the Galactic Library Council. Having been his assistant for many years, you're familiar with his work and have been chosen to continue his unfinished historical book. The council deems this book of utmost importance and a top priority. You are now the main editor of Edward's unfinished work. However, you will find his writings to be disorganized and scattered. Edward lacked the ability to bring order to his various writings, and it's now your responsibility to piece together the book from the numerous sources he accumulated over 4 decades. While the content may be intriguing, the lack of structure poses a significant challenge. Edward's writing style was spontaneous and impulsive, leading to a narrative that jumps between topics without clear organization. In addition to his main project, Edward had amassed an extensive collection of binders, boxes, and other storage containers filled with stories, historical documents, notes, and journals covering a wide range of topics. Among them were accounts of unknown flying objects, giants, vampires, and even alien races whose existence remains unverified. He had written a plethora of stories, both finished and unfinished, as well as poems, personal journals, written journals, and travel journals documenting his explorations across the galaxy. The Zaltron Legend is the title of Edward's magnum opus. He painstakingly compiled information about the ancient race known as the Zaltronians, who inhabited the galaxy around 500,000 years before the rise of humankind. The book delves into the story of how these enigmatic beings were discovered, shedding light on their civilization and their impact on the galaxy. As you step into your uncle's shoes and take on the responsibility of completing his work, you're faced with the daunting task of organizing and consolidating his vast collection of writings. Your uncle's legacy lives on through the Zaltron legend, and it becomes your mission to honor his memory by bringing his extraordinary story to fruition. Footnote 6. See The Legend of Zaltron, Volume 53, October 23, 35222. So there it is then. I have been put to the task of finishing his last and greatest work. I accepted the job without a second thought. I worked with him on this book years ago, so it would only seem natural that I would take up the mantle of completing it for him. From the Memoirs of Edward H. Greenwood III, Chapter 12, of the Fall of Ancient Societies. Many thousands of years ago, before the birth of the human species and their home world Earth, there existed a society of highly intelligent creatures called Zaltronians on their home planet Zaltron. They had built a fleet of super-advanced starships to explore the galaxy and beyond. During their travels, they encountered an aggressive alien race known as the Dezots, resulting in a centuries-long galactic war. However, the Zaltronians secretly built a new fleet of warships that were powerful enough to defeat any Dezot weapon, and after 3 centuries of conflict, the Zaltronians emerged victorious. A peace treaty was established, and the Zaltronians decommissioned most of their warships, leaving only a few to defend their home planet. Although the legends of the Zaltronians and their fantastical ships have been archived in the Great Galactic Library, commissioned by the Galactic Empire, some doubt their existence. The Empire has dispatched their best historians to find evidence of the Zaltronians' existence and locate any lost technologies they may have left behind. It is speculated that the Empire's motives for this pursuit are to extend their conquest over the galaxy and govern all life throughout. The fate of the Zaltronians remains a mystery, but their tales continue to be told throughout the galaxy as a fairy tale or as truth, depending on who you ask. The Zaltronians were a highly advanced species with technological capabilities far beyond anything that humans have achieved. Their starships were capable of such wonders that mostly seemed to be magic instead of science. They were also skilled in various forms of science and engineering, allowing them to create powerful weapons and defenses, and also living beings of various forms throughout the galaxy, and maybe even the universe. The Zaltronians' victory over the Dezots made them a symbol of power and resilience, and their tales were told throughout the galaxy as a testament to the strength of their society. However, as time passed, their existence became shrouded in mystery and myth. Footnote 7. This is an old book that was printed January 30,422, written by Edward H. Greenwood III. He was unaware during his days of the truth of the ancient Zaltronians. Memoirs of Edward H. Greenwood III, Impress, page 493. We now know, thanks to Jack and Eve, that the universe really is billions of years old, and there are more Zaltronians elsewhere in the universe that existed long before the ones from Earth. Eve was from the Andromeda Galaxy and is much older than any living Zaltronian to have ever existed from our galaxy. More on my part of the story later. Let's get to the actual book, shall we? Just bear in mind that it is a restructuring of an ancient 10,000-year-old book, using many sources to complete the narrative. So it may seem disjointed, but the best has been done, and we didn't want to rewrite anything. The point of the book was to have all the original works and none of our garbage put into it, other than our notes and commentaries. And with that, Edward and I present you with the first of the last 2 volumes of the Zaltron legend.